right, so here we are with Sarah from Tegan and Sara. First off, just congratulations on the Grammy nom.
Thank you.
Take us back to that day. Like, what were you doing when you heard?
We're touring with the Killers right now, and so we generally play an earlier set, and we just gotten off stage. We were sitting around having a post-show recap, and we had received a bunch of texts. One of our friends is in the band Fun, and they had a big year this year, a very big year, and got a bunch of nominations, and I was in the middle of writing them to be like, congratulations, when Tegan basically was looking through the list and saw that we had been nominated as well. So it was incredibly unexpected. Okay. And we were thrilled. We were really excited. We've never been nominated for a Grammy. And I'm the Canadian self-deprecating part of me wants to be like, there's no way we'll win. But it just, all that matters is the nomination.
You got to think positive.
We're really excited, yeah. It's the kind of thing, too, where there's lots of things that happen in our life that are really exciting to us and have significant meaning to us, but this is one of those things where it's really significant for, you know, our management and for the label and our mom and like my high school best friend, you know, like it's one of those things where you can sort of all universally think like, this is really cool. Right. Whereas there's other stuff where I'm like, you guys, this thing happened, and they're like, what? No, what's that? Why does that matter? You know?
Okay. There have been a lot of changes with the album and the sound.
Yeah.
Would you credit that more to just being more comfortable with your career and being willing to take those risks? Or is it just you guys felt it was time for a change and went for it?
So Heartthrob is our 7th record. And I think in terms of, you know, progress and songwriting ability and, you know, sonics and confidence and all those things, we've taken a huge leap. And for some people, I think that the sound initially is going to throw them off a little bit. It's a little bit poppier. It's more ambitious. There's definitely a boldness to the first single, Closer. People keep throwing around the word dance. I personally, all that we talk about when we're making a record is how do we make something that is better than the last thing that we made, that no one is going to say, like, you know, is this from the con or is this from, I just want them to think like, what is this new song? There must be something new out because I've never heard this before. And, you know, as much as this is a probably more modern or contemporary sounding record, we're never trying to go out and emulate like what's happening on radio or what's happening, you know, on the charts. Like that's just never been our band. We're sort of are like, we do the opposite on purpose a lot of the time. I don't know what the word I'm looking for here is. Like, I think that we're a bit grumpy, and we don't like to think that we're doing what other people are doing, even if sometimes that's been to our disadvantage. But I think also the spirit of music right now, I've been really enjoying what has been happening in modern radio and modern pop, and I love things like Alicia Keys and Rihanna and Robin, and I don't want to turn away from what's happening in popular culture, but I also, if we're going to do what's happening in popular culture, I want to make sure we're doing it how Tegan and Sara would do it. Right. So I love the record, and I think that what will hopefully happen, you know, with our career to date, we've been really aggressive about these are the things that we want to accomplish artistically, monetarily, whatever it is. And with this record, we said, listen, let's blow this glass ceiling off. Like, we know that we can be a bigger band than we've been. And, you know, how do we make something super ambitious, you know, while still really, like, servicing and exciting our fan base that we currently have, but while also saying, like, come on, like, new people, like, let's find new fans, you know, so, but I think it's great, we're excited.
Right, and when this album drops, for sure there's going to be a lot of chatter amongst the fans. You're going to gain a lot of new fans, but then some of the older fans are still going to be like, hey, what's this?
Sure, yeah.
What are your thoughts about that?
I think that there is like a real, it's really important for us to make the distinction between what is our sort of band and touring career and our album career. And, you know, the material that we write every couple of years and sort of, you know, sort of integrate into our growing set list of songs and back catalog. You know, there's an initial moment of excitement and kind of like wave of promotion around a new record, but what it really comes down to, like the bread and butter of what we do, is touring and playing live. And I like to think that the majority of fans who've been with us over the course of, like, whether it's all 7 albums or it's 2 albums or 3 albums or whatever, I think that we are always very cognizant of giving those fans, you know, a spectrum of what we've done, engaging with them in the way that we've always engaged with them, and try to come up with new ways to be exciting and interesting. And so I hope that the fans that have been with us all along love the record, but I also think that it's like just part of the nature of making music. You lose people. Sometimes you lose people just because they went on a backpacking trip and they didn't buy any CDs that year or whatever. So, you know, to say that, you know, we can only have a certain amount of fans or a certain fan base, it would be incredibly, I think it would be limiting both to us and to the artistic integrity of what we do as a band. I'm aware of the fan base, but I'm always thinking, what if we were just nobody and we were starting from scratch? I'm always trying to think about who might be interested in this project and who can come and be a fan a fan of this band. So.
Okay. You mentioned 7 albums. When it comes to creating a set list, how hard is that for you guys, especially when you have a new album that's just coming out?
Creating the set list isn't as hard as you would imagine. It just depends which place you're coming from. Like, if I'm writing the set list, it's hard. If I'm writing the set list thinking about what the fan base wants, it's not hard. There are just obvious songs from each record that everybody wants to hear. Like, you know, we sort of jokingly refer to them as the hits. You know, we're sort of like, okay, we know which songs off of So Jealous, The Con, and Sainthood everybody wants to hear.
Right.
And then we sort of, you know, we try to put in a few songs that are more like our favorites and maybe are a little bit more like the deep cuts that not everybody cares about, but we try to showcase them in a way that maybe people in the audience who weren't as familiar or didn't like them as much, that they'll still feel like they have a, you know, there's a cohesive fit.
Okay.
And yeah, so I mean, when I was a little bit more stubborn and difficult, I would have probably said it was really challenging, because I would have been like, I want to play all the songs that nobody cares about. But it's actually much more satisfying now to play the songs that really thrill the audience, you know? Like we played a show last night in Toronto, and the songs that don't get a big response, you know, it's not that you don't think that they're as good as songs, but you're like, well, as a performer, was it important to have that included last night dynamically? Like, is there something else that we can put in that would keep up the energy and excitement and engagement? So the set list has become like a big deal.
Okay. And one thing I noticed about your live shows is the two of you have great banter with the crowd. Is there, and usually when you're talking to the crowd, they do respond. Is there any situation where that happened that, like, just very memorable for you? Like, the back and forth between the crowd and yourselves?
It's so hard for me to zero in on like one story or one moment on stage that has felt particularly good or bad or funny or whatever. Just so many shows now, it's really it's really hard. But the general feeling is that we have an audience that is interested and engaged, and in those moments when we're talking to them or we're sharing a little bit of what happened during our day or a little bit of backstory on the band or the song, it's another layer for us to reveal to the crowd and sort of to, you know, engender them to the project or to the story. So we try to do it in a way that's a little less rambling and selfish, I think, than we used to. Like, we would just go on and on and on and on. And I think for a small group of people that was really exciting. But looking back on it now, like, as we've developed as performers, I think it's important to interject, you know, like here and there, and to do our little cute banter here and there. But it's also just, as the body of work builds, you know, it's precious time on stage, and I'd rather be playing the music. So it's a balance. It's a balance in doing what we know we do well, but not doing it too much.
Okay. And just going back to the new album again, you guys released the music video for Closer just a few weeks ago. How much fun was it to make that video? It looked like it was a lot of fun.
It was really fun to make the video for Closer, although we weren't really needed for a lot of the shoot. We did a lot of the background extras stuff before, and then Tegan and I kind of just like went crazy and danced and sang for like 2 hours. Jumped on the trampoline, swang on the swings. What's interesting about the video for me is that I have a tendency to probably want to make things a little bit darker, or a little bit more alternative or strange, and the simplest videos really just resonate with most people. They just really do. It was a very simple idea. We wanted to sort of recreate a version of our teenage years, you know, something sweet, probably far less sinister than the way we were when we were actually teenagers and up to no good. But still, something that sort of like spoke to that, you know, like when you're just like, you just loved being with all your friends and hanging out and having fun and dancing and being silly. I probably wasn't like that after elementary school, but these teenagers were excellent at that, and they really seemed to capture, you know, just a youthful sweetness that I think that the song, you know, it really has that quality. So it was fun, and we really do karaoke all the time, and that is my karaoke face and my dance moves.
Okay. Do you have a go-to karaoke track, or?
I do. I love to karaoke to anything by Bon Jovi. Just put on a Bon Jovi track. I'm like all over that. I love it. Specifically, shot through the heart, but really anything. I could even do Always. It's not even, people don't even like that. They're like, that's not even, that's new Bon Jovi. It's terrible. Give me that
Still
song any day of the week. I'll do it all. I don't care.
All right. Have you been to one of his shows?
To Bon Jovi? I've never seen Bon Jovi.
Really?
No, never.
Is that on your bucket list? Shows to see, or? I
mean, it's not on my bucket, not on my bucket list. I guess I just never. I assume I'll see him one day, you know. But yeah, I don't know if I have that big of a desire to see Bon Jovi. But I do love his songs. I really do. I think he's a great songwriter.
Who are some of the artists that would be on your bucket list of live shows that you want to see?
God, I've been so fortunate. I've been able to see so many fantastic things. It's one of those. I hate to gloat or like brag about it. Like I've seen Donna quite a number of times. I've seen Bruce Springsteen a number of times. U2. Then I've seen like, you know, we play festivals with a ton of bands all the time that I really respect. So I've seen. I mean, I've played on the same stage or before, you know, bands like, you know, Jack White, and, you know, the Breeders and Fiery Furnaces, Arcade Fire. You know, we've played with so many people, and. So it would be really hard for me right now, like just to say like, oh, this is the one last person that I just really wish I could see. That's hard. It would be hard for me to figure out who that would be. Maybe Leonard. I haven't seen Leonard Cohen. I'd like to see him. Never seen Patti Smith. Bonnie Raitt. I never saw the Eurythmics, so maybe I'd like to see Annie Lennox do something.
It's a nice mix of different.
Yeah, like that's kind of where I'm at, yeah. And most new stuff, I mean, we're usually on festival circuits with like the bands that are happening, so yeah, it would be probably older stuff.
What was one of the first shows that you went to?
The first show that I ever went to was New Kids on the Block when I was 9.
All right.
That was my very first show. Unless you count, we grew up in Calgary, and I remember when I was really little, Katie Lang did like a mall concert, and we just happened to be at the mall, so I guess in a weird way that was my first concert. But New Kids on the Block was the first show that I bought tickets for, was really stoked about, went, bought the t-shirt, cried. It was a big deal.
Can't fault you for that, though.
But then the next one I went to was the Smashing Pumpkins, so I mean, it was very different. I was eclectic interests as a child.
That's always a good thing. Variety is a good thing. And I guess finally, just with 2013 around the corner, aside from the live shows and the new album, what else can fans expect from Tegan and Sara?
Yes, there's going to be a tremendous amount of touring around this record, so we will be doing a lot of that. And you know, I think it's for us, it's like staying creatively stimulated, like the shows, the production, you know, new videos, just trying to just keep the you know, the artistic part of myself satisfied. You know, we spend so much time writing the songs and recording them that when you get out on tour, sometimes there's these, you know, massive stretches of time where you're not really doing anything besides like waiting for a show or waiting for an airplane or like waiting for the food to arrive backstage. So it's all about for us creating projects that are both entertaining for ourselves and then for the fan base. So, and then, you know, thank goodness now with all the technology, recording technology, we're able to do a lot of writing on the road, and we've enjoyed so much working with other artists and collaborating that I think everyone should be fully expecting some of that to happen again as well. 2013, 14. Yeah.
All right, and I'm just going to add another question now.
Okay.
You mentioned collaborating with other artists.
Yeah.
Are there any artists, like any collaborations on the horizon that you're already working on, or a wish list maybe?
You know, there's always a wish list. I'm not currently working on anything that I'm like fully ready to disclose, but I just enjoy the opportunity to write songs with and for other people, and sometimes, you know, that comes to fruition and sometimes it doesn't. But I think with it, when it comes to collaborating, it's a little bit different than my like who I want to go and see playlist. It's more of a, you know, what are the strangest combinations I can come up with in my mind. I just don't like the idea of working on collaborative stuff with people who make a ton of sense, you know, like, I mean, I do. I mean, there have been things that have been really satisfying, but I'm always thinking like, I want to do the like really strange collaboration that
right.
people just don't expect.
Okay.
Like that's what I get interested in.
All right.
Yeah.
So
I
we'll
gotta think about that.
We'll look forward to the different surprises.
Just something wacky that you just didn't expect. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Exactly. Thank you.